Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Seneca County Board of Commissioner meeting. Today's Thursday, June 12th. It's 10 a.m. This is our regular board session, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. You're fine. No, I'll pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Let's bow our heads to God. Thanks for bringing us all together. Such a great day. Thank you for Seneca County. Thank you for Ohio. Thank you for the United States. We ask that special blessing today for Tiff and Calvert. They're down in the state Final Four baseball tournament, that you look over them in the game. And with that, amen. All right. Roll call.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Here.
Commissioner Frankert,
Here.
Commissioner Bustecker.
Here.
Okay, at this time, we'll accept the motion to approve the minutes of the digital audio recording of the previous board session on June 5th, 2025.
I'll second the motion.
Okay?
Commissioner Bustecker,
Yes.
Commissioner Frankert,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso.
Yes, minutes approved. On the agenda, we have ODOT for our yearly update.
Sorry.
Mr. Paul, you want
It's
to...
happening to connect to the internet, right?
He's got an intro.
They're obviously here. We've arrived, so that's good. It just seems like we were here not too
About a
long
year ago, yeah.
About a year, it's crazy. So go ahead, thanks.
All right. Thank you, Commissioners. Always a pleasure to be in Seneca County. I know we've been chatting about some other things, including a Fostoria bypass, so I think we're on a better path, and I know we'll be meeting about that, I think, in the next couple of weeks,
I'm
so.
okay if you guys are okay with it.
Perfect for
Thank you.
All right.
blind.
What I'll do is I'll just kind of go over some high-level things. We'll also talk about some state transportation budget changes, and maybe some things out in the future we'll be looking at. And then our maintenance operations. Our construction engineer couldn't make it today, so he texted me what I need to talk about right before I walked in, so I'm going to be reading off my phone, and I apologize for that. But we'll talk about some construction projects going on as well. So with that, just a reminder, you know, we are a somewhat densely populated state. I know we have, most of the state is rural. We're 35th in area and 7th in population. Our districts, just so you're aware, we got 12 districts in the state. We're in District 2. We do take care of the state's largest man-made asset. And we, as far as any state agency, we are the state agency that has the most direct daily impact on the citizens of the state of Ohio versus other state agencies. Infrastructure, we're 5th in lane miles as far as interstate lane miles, 2nd in structures. That actually went to 3rd this year, so that should be updated, but Illinois is beating us now. That also includes your county structures. That's not just ODOT structures, that's overall structures, even the ones the county engineer takes care of, or cities and municipalities do. And 6th in vehicle miles traveled. That's total miles traveled on our highways. 6th in tonnage, so got a lot of freight tons going through here, whether that's by sea, air, truck, or train. And we do have a lot of, and Seneca is well aware of this, we got a lot of route miles, and we got a number of Class 1 lines right through northern Ohio, so we're 3rd in route miles for trains. Some impacts on inflation, so I'm sure you guys have seen it on vertical construction. I know Mark Zimmerman has seen it on horizontal construction. Inflation has been hitting a lot of our pockets. So this is the state revenue, state gas tax. It was increased in 2020 when Governor DeWine came in. I'm colorblind, I screw this up every time, so we're going to go with orange in the bottom. I've been to enough of these, they've told me what colors they are. The one in the middle is the one I'm proud of, but we're going red. And then blue or purple. So the orange line is the state gas tax, had we not, what we would have received had we not did anything without inflation, without adjusting for inflation. The red line, or green, red line is adjusted for inflation. So you can see we went up in 2020, but inflation has pretty much taken us back to, and this would really impact the county engineer's budget too. It's taken us back to the point pretty much pre-gas tax increase. So as you may or may not be aware, every county in the state of Ohio receives the same amount of gas tax money. Whether you're Lucas County or Franklin County or Seneca County or Henry County, you're receiving the same amount of gas tax. Where the maybe more urban counties get a little bit of a bump is really through their license plate registrations. So, you know, Henry's actually our most rural county as far as population goes in District 2. They would receive the same amount as you would, but they would probably have the lowest budget out of all 8 counties in District 2 because they don't have as much motor vehicle registration. So that's certainly impacting probably rural counties, you know, quite a bit. I would say more than urban counties that rely on gas tax, maybe a little bit less. The county engineer's office does. So I'm sure Mark's got his degree in economics. I know he could probably give you even more information on that. But yeah, so that's what we're seeing now. The purple line is just where the gas tax, the true number is, essentially, not accounting for inflation. So with that, I'll come back and talk about a few other things, but I'm going to turn it over to Mark Bressler, our Highway Maintenance Administrator. And April Knoll,
Thank you.
Transportation Administrator.
All right, April and I are going to tackle some maintenance updates going on. First one, we had some legislation changes that now require ODOT to perform snow and ice operations and mowing operations throughout state routes inside of villages statewide. Fortunately, this is something that we've been doing for years. So it's really not a change up here in District 2. We've always been ahead of this and try to form good partnerships with other villages and other government entities around our district. Doesn't make sense, quite frankly, for us to pick our plows up or not salt as we're going through a state route in a village already, right? So we continue to do that. We see that as a safety thing, and now everyone is required to do that. So other districts will have to adjust. But, and then each transportation administrator across our district is reaching out to those villages just to make sure we're covering the mowing needs. You know, we're not going to be mowing every week and making it a turf, nice golf course out there, but we hit our routes about 3 times a year, and we just kind of see what those villages would like. A lot of them have been either wanting to keep doing it themselves, or there's certain areas that we take care of. So I don't know, have you had a chance to talk to some yet?
Yeah, I talked to Republic and been in contact with them, and they were okay with us getting out there at least 3 times.
Perfect. So,
And we're gonna try to spray the growth retardant too, so it'll help on that areas.
awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Chip seal operation. So another thing that came through legislation is that we are required to notify you, the commissioners, of any chip seal operations that we are doing within 30 days. We normally talk about chip seal at these meetings. So again, that's something else that we've already been doing, but in Seneca County, if you're looking at the list here, we do have 2 areas where chip sealing. I don't know if you want to cover those, April?
Yeah, we're gonna do 162, where we've actually had it closed for a little while. We've been working out there, getting it ready. We're gonna do from Republic to the Huron County line, and then 587 from the roundabout to Fostoria. That's what we're doing.
And so I'd add too, it's like, you know, obviously these laws were passed for reasons, but we're already doing it, so you're not probably seeing any difference. So, so that's a good thing. But we now have to check a box, so we're already checking a box that didn't exist, but now there's a box that exists, so we're letting you know we're checking that revised code box now that we have to check, so, but yeah.
Yeah, good.
Getting back to the snow plowing, so you got, for example, Green Spring, so Seneca and Dusty come together, how, I mean, how's that? Because you guys probably, maybe around the same time, maybe sometimes not, how's that?
Yeah, they come down, I think we're turning around at,
Turn around at the old Sunrise.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Sunrise,
you guys
yeah.
kind of get through there, kind of work.
Correct.
Yep.
Yes.
That makes perfect sense, because you don't just stop at the traffic light.
Correct. Correct.
They pile in the middle of the counter line there and stuff like after, yeah.
Right.
Hopefully not.
Right.
So with the chip seal, that'll be in August, and you could get some complaints. Usually, we've gotten a lot better at doing it. We've gotten newer equipment. Our operators have gotten better and more efficient. So we're getting better at cleanup with loose stone and everything else. So you could get some complaints, but those always go down after the first 2 weeks, once we start knocking down those chips. So.
And I can tell you, when I was at the Henry County Engineers Office, ODOT started to chip seal, And it was a great thing because I could just say, look, even the state's doing it. And so it's, when they came to the county engineer's office and complained about us, the chip seal. So now that I work for the state, I can't make that same claim anymore. I don't know who I blame now.
Mark loves it too, Zimmerman.
Yeah, it kind of gets cover a little bit for the, but it's it's very effective, so.
Oh, yeah.
Brine agreements, so just wanted to talk about snow and ice, different agreements on this slide and the next with salt. We do make a lot of brine, and especially in District 2, but now even across the state. And you know, the buy-in cost to make your own brine, you gotta buy a brine maker, you gotta buy big tanks. You know, it's expensive. So we sell brine to the locals, and we don't do it at a profitable dollar amount. We're not looking to make money off it. You know, we do it at 7 cents a gallon, which is essentially just the cost of the material to make it. So dirt cheap. But if you ever do have anyone that's interested in trying out brine, I don't see anyone from Seneca on this list. So if there ever is interest and they want to just experiment, send them our way. We'll work with them. We'll help them get started. They can try it out. A lot of times it starts out with a little experiment and then they like it. And next thing you know, people just buy their own tanks and then they buy from us and store it at their facility and then use it in their operations, and they find success with it. So we're more than willing to be good partners there. And then getting on to the salt contracts, so there is a big statewide ODOT salt contract that a lot of the locals jump on. There's 600 local entities that are a part of that salt contract, with the locals buying around 1 million tons of salt just there, aside from what we purchase. It's a good thing because you're getting the same price as what we get, which is around $50 a ton. Reason I wanted to talk about it is we did have all those ice storms back to back to back last year, and it drained everyone of salt. We were low on salt, but the locals were really hurting. And our philosophy is if we have enough salt to take care of what we can and we can share, we're going to. So across the district last year, we were sharing salt with the locals, helping them out, and then they bring it back either this summer or later in the year. We're not charging. I know there was a lot of, I'm going to call it extracting by some local businesses, not local, but salt companies that were selling for $150 a ton, whereas normally it's $50. So we're trying to do our best again to be good partners and help out. So if you ever hear someone in a salt pinch, feel free to direct them to April. If we can help, we will. We got a smaller salt building here in Seneca. Hopefully one day we'll get a bigger one up, but Sandusky is massive. So they might have to come up to Fremont to go get it. We got about 8,000 tons up there. So, but we can find a way to make it happen. So. And then just wanted to give a good shout out to your Adopt a Highway groups. We really appreciate the help they do here, keeping our highways clean, keeping Seneca County clean. It also helps us a lot because it's less time spent that we are out as far as litter pickup, so it gets more road work done, which is really important.
Yeah, and also with that too, this year we had a contract with Crossroads, and they've been picking up litter too. So I don't know if you guys noticed them out.
You've seen them
Yeah.
a couple of times.
So they're doing awesome. Around, I would say, 20 to 30 bags of trash a day when they go out.
Wow, good.
So that's pretty big.
And we pay them to do that, and we love spending that money.
Yeah.
That is great
Yeah.
because they're burning through it. They're doing great work. So
Yep.
we're trying to replicate that. We're actually using that as an example for a meeting with Wood County next week, trying to get more involvement in that. So.
Good.
Okay, this is my slide. This is just showing the local work that we're doing at the garage at our level. We're gonna be out at 4. 2 spots, we're gonna replace a culvert, and then we're gonna do that this summer, then probably late fall, we'll go back and improve the intersection at 122. Just try to fill in the ditch a little bit and give everybody a little bit more room through there. 19, we have a 24-inch culvert to replace between 101 and Township Road 175. The chip seal, 587, and then 162. And some of you probably noticed that we've had 162 closed for a while. We've been doing culvert replacements, just getting ready for chip seal, and those are completed already. So, yep. And then our other ones are just various full depth repairs throughout the county. and then back to 53, working on filling that in where we left off last fall. So, just a little bit of our work plan at our level.
Okay, turn it over to Pat.
Okay, and Brian French sends his regards, and we have our engineer, one of our engineers in the area is actually out on military leave right now.
We should have like popcorn or something in here.
Yeah, there you
Like a
go.
movie night.
Yeah. Yeah, get the lights down. And
Cheyenne, do we have any popcorn from the drive-in?
I can get some.
But, yeah, our engineer that kind of covers this area, he's actually out on military leave, so it's, and then our area engineer just couldn't make it, so I apologize for reading off my phone here, but, so the first one, replace 4 culverts on 224. It's underway, so I think you see the dates there. Let's see, he said the project engineer spoke with the township trustee last night about berm repairs as well to one of the township roads. So we're on top of that and we'll make things right. So there must have been an issue with, maybe trucks going down the road and just the berm dropping off. So we'll try to make that right for them. PID, the next one, resurface State Route 4 from east, Township Road 106 to the Huron County line. And then the other resurfacing, the contractor has not indicated when they'll start. Completion date's the end of October. So we'll be seeing that coming up. Next one, resurface State Route 12 from the west of North Township Road 47 to Sandusky County line. And then you can see those other resurfacings. So it's underway. The other one and the other 2 begin in July. We're hoping to begin the work on this project June 23rd. Currently, we're waiting for the asphalt mix design approval. So sometimes there's a back and forth between the asphalt companies and central office if they have a new mix design. And then, and Fostoria might be a little bit of a mess in July. So it's already sometimes with the railroads and everything else.
Yeah.
It's got its own, it's kind of a mess sometimes there anyways. But so that's going to be a little bit of an issue in July with Fostoria. So then you got some miscellaneous items, lighting maintenance, guardrail, crack seal, raised pavement markings. Roundabouts, so State Route 12 at County Road 592 is coming up. So that's what the design looks like there. Convert the intersection to a single lane roundabout, $3.25 million. Construction fiscal year 28. So that could start in 27, late 27 or 28, but was funded. I think I was saying it before. What's unique about Seneca, a lot of our areas, most of it's a grid, and Seneca's kind of a grid, but you got a lot of angled roads that go through Seneca that's unique to District 2. But that's also usually where we start seeing, injuries, fatals, things like that, which are ideal for roundabouts. And I think the ones on 592 we've already put in have been working out pretty well, right? I haven't heard any complaints. I think the truck traffic has been getting through those. I know we actually designed those specifically for heavy truckloads. Or 224, because that is a heavy truckload route. So anyways, yeah, so that's one coming up. This is the data. When you look at, we were kind of talking about this earlier, about a different intersection. What do we look at? What makes it, what are we actually looking at? And why a roundabout? So these are all accidents or crashes that have occurred at this intersection within a 3-year period. And when your sheriff's department or the state patrol or police department, they all fill out an OH1 form. So that the report number is the first thing you see. But in that OH1 form, they actually identify a GPS location. We extract that data, and that's how we can find out certain patterns. So when you're looking through this, you got, I'm just gonna go from the top. I know the laser pointer won't work on a TV screen, but we have an injury, ran stop sign, so 1 injury, 2 injuries, 3, 4. There's a fatal there, 5, 6. This is actually not good. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 injuries there. The PDOs are property damage, and then we have 1 fatal. This is actually a really bad intersection. I mean, going around to the different counties, I was in Williams and another roundabout got funded and they had a fatal, but they had, I think, 7 injuries there. So this is this has a very high injury slash fatal to crash ratio, but also just, there's a number of, just quite a few of them. So roundabouts, as you may or may not know, they're 90% effective at reducing fatals, 70% effective at reducing serious injuries, and 30% effective at reducing crashes. So they do reduce crashes, not at the same level as injuries and fatals. But if you are getting in a crash, you know, it's usually, you're walking away from it too. So have you heard any, I know anytime we put a roundabout in, there's some people that absolutely hate them, we know that, but have you heard any complaints about the one
Actually,
on
I would
224?
complain. Why don't they actually make people go back through a course and understand how to go through them? That's actually something I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah,
really bad. People don't know the process. Sometimes people act like they're a tractor trailer or a
Mhm.
train, 10 cars before you can get out.
Yeah.
That's something I really think the state should look at. Sending out a mailer or
When
something.
you renew
letting
your
people-
driver's license.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I
Take
can't
a
tell how many
little
times
test.
I've sat behind 8 cars because ain't nobody gonna let you out.
right, and I think we hear that a lot of times when we put them in areas that aren't familiar with them. Like Wood and Lucas, I mean, they've got them all over the place
Yeah.
now. So what we do, and we've done it in Henry County, the Senior Center, Ottawa County, we actually do go out and go to it's usually, we go to the senior centers, and if invited, and we'll actually do some courses and stuff like that and just go through them. I will say, like, I mean,
And even like a questionnaire for these kids when they're getting their license, adding it to it, there'd be a lot of sense.
and I actually think they do, so
I don't know. 'cause
Yeah,
it's
so,
been a few years.
so I think and we have roundabouts now in every county except Fulton and Williams, and Fulton's getting like 2 or 3 of them in the very near future, and Williams is getting 1 in the near future too. So I think these instructors are purposely taking them out. They don't have to go far to get to one anymore.
Yeah.
Seneca was one of the last ones as well. They do, I'm pretty sure they learned that, and I will say, like, not to be too stereotypical, but it's a lot of times, when we go in the senior centers, a lot of times want us to come and speak, right? And it's something very new. When you actually talk to, like, we have talked to like high schools and stuff like that, they are learning this stuff, and then I think the driver's eds are taking them through it. Again, maybe they weren't in Seneca until we put one out there, but it's not new to them. The whole driving experience is new to them, you know. And I think where we get complaints about them, it's usually when we first put them in. It's an order of complaints. First is, how does the fire truck get through it? How does trucks get through it? In Ottawa County, we put 2 or 3 in now. It's how did the boat traffic get through, because they're very low. We actually designed those in Ottawa County for those large boats movements. You know, they don't work. How did the young kids understand these? That's usually one. But then you ask the young kids, and they're like, oh, they're fine, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
they train themselves all the way, they can
Yeah.
order a cell phone or energy drink and go through with their knee on the.
Right,
steering
right.
wheel. They're trained for
Yeah,
that.
and so, I mean, I don't know, and a lot of it's just a lack of understanding too, with a truck specifically, like, that truck apron's meant to be driven on. As far as driving them, if you want some legislative change, I mean, they probably have to talk to Senator Reineke or
I
something
don't
like
mind, I
that.
don't mind.
But I will tell you, they're more efficient though too. A lot of times we haven't seen them as much. So Marblehead was a good example. We were going to put one in there. The trustees in Danbury were so mad. We got to be really close friends with them actually because of this. But they sent resolutions to Senator Portman, and President Trump won. Probably Pope Francis at the time. You know, like, they were just so. We went out and talked to them, and by the time we were done talking to them, we ended up in the back of the police car. And it was myself and our traffic engineer. It was a good thing, but they actually showed us some other places to put them. So one of them, if you go up to Marblehead, that Spiderweb at 269, that's going to be a roundabout starting, it'll be after Memorial Day, or I'm sorry, Labor Day. We're going to be starting that. That was one of the areas, and they had fatalities. So, like, I would say they've converted, but they work very well. So even the people that don't know how to drive them, we've looked, and I don't know if I have them in this presentation, but I can pull one up that does. We looked 5 years before, all these roundabouts we put in, and many 5 years after, they're showing the exact same stats that the federal government's showing, actually some of them better. So even though they don't know how to drive them, they're actually still working really well. A few people might not. I will say too, a lot of folks, just like in Marblehead, and I think 224, some people were talking about putting a light there, because they think a light is safer, putting a signal there. It's more efficient, it's safer, it's neither. It's, when you look at a two-lane road or the two-lane road, depending on the traffic volumes, signalized intersections are not more efficient. Because over 50% of the time, because you're waiting for that yellow light for the other lane to go through, over 50% of the time, I'm just sitting there waiting. I'm not doing anything, I'm just sitting there waiting. And they're actually not safer either, because people are gone in and trying to beat the light. Then they're also, a lot of times, sometimes you have a green light, sometimes you don't. There's more rear ends too. So, they are very effective. So even though I agree, when we put them in areas, just people don't know. I mean, I've been behind somebody and I'm like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I walk like, go, this is a yield, it's not a stop. It's yield, not stop. But people do get used to them, because I've seen them in Napoleon and Waterville, where after a certain amount of time,
I think that's it.
you start, I don't see the people stopping as much anymore.
Yeah.
Now, when I go out to like Marblehead, I can tell you, like, people are still stopping here and there. But even though they're stopping, it's still more efficient, it's still safer, so we're still achieving the goals. But I don't disagree with the commissioner, like.
Well, the big thing to me is just people need to understand how to utilize them.
Yeah.
I like them personally,
Mm-hmm.
and I know we got a couple other spots here in the county that I think many people would like to see them,
Right.
especially on 224 in a couple of spots, so.
Yeah, and 224 is one of those examples, just like this intersection, like, we have bigger problems when we have these skewed intersections, approaching. And some people are like, well, can you just put can you fix it? And it's like, well, you gotta go back a long ways, and actually by that point, you're spending way more than you are per roundabout,
I think that's a great spot. I've
Yeah.
done that for a long time.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like,
You go there.
those numbers, yeah, that doesn't look great. It doesn't. So I'm glad we're doing this, and this is a good
Me too.
spot. Hopefully we can look at that other.
Isn't there
Didn't you tell us last year there's there's a category, if they're really bad, there's money for that, like an emergency?
There was, so the governor had.
20 of them, didn't have some money to-
So Seneca actually had on 224, I think
Yeah.
there was 2 or 3 intersections, on the governor's top 150 list.
That's what it was.
And so the governor came out with the gas tax increase of the top 150, it was the top,
So it was a
the
one-time
50
thing.
worst rural, 50 worst
Oh.
urban, and 50 worst suburban intersections in the state of Ohio. Seneca had some of those. And so money just automatically went there. With stuff like this, we do look at the data, but we also get feedback, just like, we were talking about earlier, like, or Danbury saying, look at this intersection, this spider web weird thing that you can't find anywhere else. And then we looked at it, and the data supported looking at it more, and then we actually apply for money. They're not paying anything for it. So if it's bad enough, just like this one, like, this is pretty bad. So we'll apply for funding. Seneca County can apply for funding, anybody can apply for funding to the grant, and then we'll get funding. So those were the identified top 50, 50, 50. We still look at that list. So it's not necessarily the governor, is branding it top 150.
Okay.
We're still looking at the worst intersections in our district, whether urban, suburban, or rural, and we're seeing how to address them. We're also looking at some where the commissioners or engineer, the sheriff, or somebody says, hey, can you look at this, or our own folks, can you look at this? We'll do a report, and if we're like, yeah, there's numbers, we might be able to get funding, we'll submit it. And sometimes we get denied. We had one on Henry County, 108, 281. It was fatal. But there really wasn't much else there. And we did all the work, we submitted. I was hoping actually we'd get funded, we didn't, but I mean, that happens. But when you got patterns like this, I can tell you, we're gonna get funded for something like this all day long, so.
So the houses there, they're not affected at all by the roundabout then?
Well, this is just a preliminary mock-up, so, you know, of course, their properties are gonna be impacted. Like, we're gonna have to take some right away, right? So when you look at these, I mean, we can always shift, that's a great thing with roundabouts versus just a typical intersection. You can always shift the roundabout, but you gotta look at like, okay, what stream impacts does it have? You know, where is there, do they have a leach bed or leach field out there? You know, and we try to avoid, you know, the property impacts. There will be property impacts because we are gonna require right of way. It doesn't look like we'd be taking anybody's house or anything here though, so, but yeah. And you know, a lot of times we see intersections like this, and I don't know if you know any of these people in the corner, you can probably ask them. They end up, some of these injuries and fatals end up in their yard. So,
Yeah.
they might not like losing their property a little bit, but they're not gonna have as many of these injuries or fatals end up in their, they're not gonna have as many people end up in their yard too, so. So, yeah. So no, that's not necessarily final design, that's a very preliminary look at it. We'll be going to engineering, and it'll be go to a task order, probably, a consultant to design this project, so we might do it in-house. Bad driver's rails, so it's something I always like to share.
Look forward to that every
Yeah,
time, right?
yep, so far, I keep getting new content, eventually I will. All in District 2 as well. So this is I-75, we shut down I-75 March 21st, 2025. Shut down both lanes, and it was because of a roll-off dumpster vehicle that left his boom up. He told the Toledo police that the boom was down when he left his yard. I have a hard time believing that, but that's what he said. So in the top left, you'll actually see that boom, that truck coming. Top right, you'll see the bridge get hit. You'll even see the bridge shake. And then the bottom left, you'll see him kind of trailering, or just, you know, after he hits it, just kind of moving. So don't look at the bottom right. You're not going to see anything in the bottom right. So there it is. There it comes. And there.
Oh, my.
So good. So shutting down I-75 is not an easy task, as you can imagine. And we had to shut it down from 475 to 475, so that whole section, all the ramps, everything else. Good news.
That final call.
In this case, it was me that made it, and then, I mean, I'm calling the director, or chief engineer, and others, like, because it's a big deal to close down 75. But at some point, it's just a risk safety issue. And we got to go address the beam right away. So we've had to do this twice. The other was on Lime City Road. Recently, now that driver didn't have he was operating at like 3 a.m., didn't have a driver's license. He was driving a CDL vehicle. He had some big piece of machinery, and it really, it severed
Looks
that
nice
beam.
now.
It does, yeah. And actually, I think we just finalized that out, so I think we're sitting pretty good there. That one, we replaced the bridge. This one, we'll probably just have to replace the beam. But it's not, at the end of the day, it's about public safety, and we gotta make the call, Good thing is, our workforce, on Sunday, we call people in on overtime, and it is great to do work on I-75 when there's no traffic on it. So it's a lot easier. I mean, we're much, much more productive when there's no traffic on 75, obviously. So this is actually the beam, so you can kind of see the damage that they did to the beam. What's interesting is, he was going southbound. You can see, you can't really see it from this video, but he scraped the first beam, didn't really cause any damage. Missed all, it's pretty easy to see on this screen, some of the screens in the commissioner's office, you can't see it. Missed all those other beams and hit the last beam. So, you know, so I don't know if it like pushed him down and he came back up or something, but he hit that pretty hard, I mean, to do that type of damage to the beam. So this was E.S. Wagner, that happened on, I think it was Friday night. It was 6:30 or so, we closed at about, I think it was 9:30 maybe. And this was Saturday night, I believe, and we had it open by Sunday. So. It's impressive. play it again, it's fine. Yeah, baby. I think that's what somebody said, yeah. So, no, they got in, they got out, and then we were able to open I-75 Sunday night, which is obviously a major, thoroughfare through the state, and there's more truck traffic and car traffic on that, in the average mile of 75 than any other interstate in the state of Ohio. Through interstate, not like 670 or 470 or 270. Here's another one, 475 at Monroe Street. You're gonna see a car smoking a little bit coming towards us. And,
Oh, yeah.
the obvious thing to do is you just jump out of the car, right, and roll, jump and roll.
Oh, boy.
Hi.
It's like Mission Impossible, right? You just jump out.
Don't worry about anybody else.
He could've got ran over too.
Big time, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll play that one again. This is, August 2024, August 2nd.
Oh, my.
Just jump out. It's the right decision. Let the car roll.
You have plenty of room to get over to the
Yeah.
Yeah.
off the side there.
Well, you could've got off in the middle too,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, and luckily everybody behind him stopped. I mean,
Yeah, like just jumping out, like, it's amazing, like I said, if we ever run out of videos, we got some other ones to share too. So like, we talked about one from California that would be a good one, and maybe next year we'll include that, but with that, I'll take any questions you folks have, or my folks can answer any questions.
I just want, for next year, can you do a little, like you did the presentation out of 592 and 12 there, maybe for like 231 and 224, just to kind of see what kind of traffic issues we've had there, and 67 and 224? Your little
I'm gonna have to remember all that.
I
You got
just-
that?
Yeah.
I just gave
Just
them
an update on, yeah.
So
It's
we had
definitely
three,
places
we had
within
three
that.
intersections I
there,
gave you.
yeah.
Okay.
We talked briefly walking in, and then 67, 224 is one.
Right.
And then County Road 19 and 224, and Engineer Zimmerman said he'd participate in that with funding. And then turn lanes on 231, left turn lane. So those are kind of our priorities. I gave the director you guys sit around the table as you talk to see if we can elevate those, or
Yeah.
some have had studies, some haven't. We have reasoning. You guys can ask us more questions about them.
I think like the one on 19 specifically, like that's one that, and the rest of them, we'll have them do these
Yeah.
patterns, and we'll kind of look at how bad they are. Like if they're really bad, we might even say like, we don't, you can throw the money in if you want, but like we'll try going after this by ourselves. And because really, I mean, like the interesting thing with ODOT, we're one agency, but we're actually very, very decentralized amongst all the state agencies. So there's these pots of money that we apply to that actually the counties and cities have equal opportunities to apply to them as well. Even if it's a county road, as in not even a state road, or city road. So, that's where we can, we'll look at it first. And then if it's like, oh, this is on the bubble, if it's on the bubble, then we'll probably say, hey, Mark, yeah, we'd love to take some of your money, and this will help maybe, put it up. But some of it's just trying to strategize behind how to get that money to do these projects, but.
Well, you asked the question, and you have your maintenance, you do what you do, but if you're asking us, if there are any questions, we're saying,
Yep.
as a result of our engineer, township trustees, others have come to us. Here's
Yep.
three
Yeah.
intersections that,
When did they last look at those, do you remember?
it was about a year and a half ago, the 67, 224 one, any of you here when we did the study? There was a big fatality there. There's been a series of them. Rural EMS, we get
Yeah.
a lot of calls out there. The township trustees, people came to us. We wrote a letter. We
Right.
did the study. Okay, the study came back, and there were, I don't know how many lines there were, but it wasn't enough
Okay.
at that time for you didn't think to apply or whatever. since then, the rhetoric with us and the requests keep coming.
Has there been issues since then?
I think, yeah, there's been some
There was
issues.
just
Okay.
And I
an
think there
injury,
was- there was just
multiple
another-
injury accident a
There was
couple
another
months ago
multiple
there.
injury accident on top of the
Right.
data you have. So I mean, to us, that's, I asterisked that when I gave it to them, and then.
And that's good too, a lot of
That's
times.
2 state roads right
Yeah,
there.
a lot of
It's bad.
times when we get these requests, that's exactly what we do. We ask what has happened and recently, because they'll look back, it's either 3 or 5 years. I think it might be 5, and that's where the data comes from. They're not gonna look back 7 years, they're not gonna look back, but they'll look back, it's either 3 or 5 years, and then that's where kind of the rankings start coming in. So sometimes things have changed, sometimes they're, and I hate to say this, don't take this or don't,
Yeah.
on the papers here, but, you know, when something bad happens, that's also a time to say, hey, let's look at this again, you know, because like now it's data. It's also a tragedy. It's tragic, but it's also gives us some more data to say, let's attack this again. So our position at the district has always been, we're gonna try to get as much money as we can and projects back to this area as possible. So we'll look at it, and if it's not a heavy lift, I mean, even if it is, I mean, we can just resubmit it and say, hey, we wanna look at this again, here's some ideas that we got, we'll work with Mark on those, and then see where it goes. Sometimes we get some where we're like, we don't know if we're gonna get funded, and we get funded. We got some, like 108 and 281, I was hoping, we had a fatal there, and there's like a fatal 7 years ago that Representative Hoops was pushing it hard, and I was hoping we'd get funded, and we didn't, you know, and that's just, it's, you know, but we can
Yeah,
try.
well, if we don't,
I think with 224 and 67's the lay of the land too.
Because it's right down the
in
bottom,
the
right?
valley,
That's a
yeah.
tough, that'd be
Yeah.
tough when that comes in, how
I
to do
thought I
it.
do remember talking about that one, now that you say that, like, because it's hard to figure out what to do because the sight distance, wasn't that the issue?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember talking with, I thought Chris and maybe you guys about that. And they were looking at what to do, but there were some difficulties, how to fix it because of the,
Yeah. 'cause it's-
Yeah.
Well, and then you also have,
Both
is
sides.
it County Road
Ditch
12
lines
come
going
out
through
just
there, too.
beyond the intersection?
yeah, there's a
too?
creek, right? Isn't
Yeah,
there
there's a creek and then there's a
Okay, this
county
is
road
jogging
that
my
comes
memory
out,
now.
yeah.
Because it's like, it's fairly complex. Like ideally, you'd almost want to raise the rent, which would be astronomically expensive, and we'd be taking out.
Yeah, because I'm not sure.
Taking
a
property.
Term would work in that area with the way the land is.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember talking about
some of
this.
that
It-
land's kind of waste, though, it's not really.
Well, as far as,
Good farmland,
but
right?
he's saying the height, that
Yeah.
you can't put a roundabout on the bottom there, that
Yeah.
would be somebody coming
Yeah.
downhill there, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they looked
Visibility.
at, that and it was a visibility issue, which again is unique. They might deal with this in District 9 and 10 in the hills of Appalachia. Up here, we don't have these issues too much. It's usually, you know, everything's flat for the most part. But I do remember talking to our traffic engineer about this, and it was, I thought they were struggling to figure out a good solution that, because safety only funds up to $5 million. So that's another issue. We can put roundabouts in for $5 million. But when you start having to go like 10, 12, 15 million, if you're filling in or you're doing, it starts getting much more costly. And that's where we struggle to find the money for that without going to TRAC, which TRAC's not really the appropriate place. I can have them look at it again, though.
Take a look at it.
I do, now that you say that, though, it refreshes my
I'm
memory.
not sure that was the reason for not going to the next step. I mean, I don't think, maybe you guys internally talked about it.
Yeah.
From, the answer we got wasn't what you just said, it was, there's not enough data.
Right. And,
Yeah.
well, I think that goes to the benefit-cost ratio. So like,
Okay, so maybe that.
so
yeah,
like sometimes our costs.
I got it.
Let's say like the benefit cost ratio on the one you see here is pretty good. So as bad as this sounds, and don't take it the wrong way, but like, you know, there's a value assigned to fatality, serious injury, and property crash, right? FHWA assigns a value. So that's the value, and then obviously we know the cost to do it, it's $3.1 million. So there's a certain B to C ratio. So if you start not having the data, kind of what we were talking about before, so you don't have the benefit, arguably, at least statistically, or what we're looking at, but you have a large cost, you're not gonna have a great benefit cost ratio,
I see.
it's not gonna get funded. So,
Fair.
that's why it's hard to do, when you see stuff like this, I mean, just looking at this, I mean, I don't even know what the benefit cost ratio is, but I'm like, giving some of these other commissioner meetings and showing this, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, that we're putting a roundabout in here. Where, you know, there's others like 281 and 108 in Henry County. Yeah, there's a fatal, there's like 2 injury crashes, or maybe 1 and like 3 property crashes. So it's like, yeah, there's a fatal, it's awful, but like, it doesn't look like this. So that's kind of the secret behind the sauce a little bit.
Commissioners, I just want to make sure I got it right. So State Route 67 and US 224, County Road 19 and US 224, State Route 231 and US 224.
And that was everything you gave me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yep. And the county road, our engineer, he said roundabout for 19 and 224.
Okay.
The 231 would be a left turn lane, and then 67, flip a coin, because it seems kind of complex, but
Yeah.
let's look at it one more time.
Yep, okay, we can do that.
Data, for sure.
Yeah, turn
Yep.
lane would
Yeah, 231 a turn lane. was what
Yeah.
Mark was thinking.
Yeah.
This came from him, and as a result of a bunch of conversations. Okay.
Yep, we can take a look at it.
Thank you, yeah.
Any other questions?
Anything else? Good. Appreciate you
be.
coming.
Thank you.
We'll be seeing you in a week or two, right?
Yeah,
Next week,
yeah,
I
we'll
think.
see you on the I-75 conversation. Can't wait to hear you speak. Well, you gonna have your, you gonna have a PowerPoint?
For that one?
Aren't you gonna speak at Marion Center?
Oh, yes,
Coming up,
yes,
right?
yep. Yeah, we'll talk about that. It might be similar. We have, it might be a little bit more, because we come to you guys every year, you know, we go
Yeah.
to, so it's a little bit more broad, probably. These are more specific, like, they don't care about us, you know, about us, the new legislative change going through the villages probably and stuff like that, but, or, you know, although you'll probably see some old videos. I think I'm gonna
That's great.
put some of the best highlight reels in
A
the
little
last
different
few
audience,
years on
yeah,
there,
yeah, they would, yeah, a little more of
Yeah.
that, so, yeah.
So,
Well, we appreciate you coming.
Yep.
Any other questions? We good?
no, appreciate you guys,
Thank you.
and Mark Zimmerman's been a great partner as well, and
Thanks.
he's got, I will say, like, you know, he's got a lot of forethought and vision in what he sees, and it's clear with like 592, I think it's 592, right, going to Fostoria,
Yeah,
and
that conversation.
And I think that's good, because that gets places, and I think we're in a good spot with the Wood County Port Authority, like they seem on board, and I need to touch base with Rex again about this, probably before that meeting, but that's how you get stuff done, just gotta keep working at it and get a study, and then we gotta start applying for money, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Good.
All right,
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Speak out if you want, sneak out,
All right.
sometime.
thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, good to see you again. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Few
Yeah,
weeks.
take care. Yeah. See you.
Thank you. Sir. Mark, right?
Yep, Mark.
Take care. Yeah, see ya.
See you.
Good one, good to see you.
Nice seeing you.
Thank you.
First name?
Jason.
Jason, yeah, Jason. Yeah.
Nice seeing you.
Who's called? Brian used to come. Where's Brian at?
He's at the state hospital now.
State, okay.
Yeah.
Brian left.
Yeah.
Jason, got you. See ya. Thank you, guys.
Got it.
All right, commissioner reports. Who wants to
I'll go ahead and
jump
leave.
in?
Yep, so.
You got it.
All right. Yep, last Friday had a meeting with TCEP, FEDC, and projects and stuff on it. Monday, went out to Fostoria for the Custom Glass Solutions open house. That was amazing what all they do there. And, I mean, they have contracts with Caterpillar for ag equipment to construction, all the way up to military. They had a piece of military
That's
glass
thick.
in there, that thick inside there, that they make for, and an RV and they have 145 employees. And actually, their parent company is in Upper Sandusky, so this is, and they've.
So this
Must
is
be
down.
Guardian. Used to
They
be
do-
Guardian glass.
Yeah,
way
used to be
back.
Guardian,
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah,
And,
but they make specialty glass there.
They make, yeah, anything, and that's what, you know, from 10 pieces on up to
Windshields.
many pieces. I mean, so it's very specialized on what they
Been in the
do
one in
there, so.
Upper, and I haven't been in that one.
Yeah, that was a nice, that was a nice tour.
Used to have one in
So, yeah.
Genoa too.
Yeah. So, and then Wednesday or last night, we had regional planning, and I had a good meeting there, and just kind of got the updates and, you know, a few things that are changing there, revolving loan fund. We're going to move that over to TSEP and work with them on that. Once we passed a resolution last night to get it for us to work with them on that, and working with RCR on the contract for by block hours for the IT stuff there, and had Dave Klaus kind of review that. He sent some suggestions, so I think we passed that, send over to RCR and get that signed and sealed, so we got some IT stuff there, and kind of brings us up to this morning.
Good. Commissioner Frank is president of regional planning, just for the record, so everyone knows that, so doing a good job. Over to you, Brad.
Last Friday, I had Recovery Task Force, just kind of give some highlights on Pivot and individuals involved in Pivot. There are 37 total participants, 21 male, 16 female, 1 graduate, 7 new admissions, 7 referrals. I think that's a pretty neat program, and they usually hold, I think it's the male court event, like right during our meeting, and then I think the ladies is
The
at
ladies
1:30,
1:30.
I think.
I believe.
I'm pretty sure you guys have all been up to that. I think it's kind of a neat event. They get to speak in where they are. That was Friday, and I had Family and Children First on Monday. We approved tentative budget for the coming year. They are having the Family Fun Fest this Saturday at Hedges Boyer Park. They have inflatables. I think you can go swim. It's kind of a nice event. I'll probably run out there for a little while for that. So
What's the time on that?
it's 11 to 2. So I think you were out there last year, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice,
so
great for the kids.
I think they said last year they had 600. They're hoping for maybe as many as 1,000 this year. So that's pretty cool. Then I was also in regional planning last night with Bill, so that's relatively up to date.
Stopped out at Big Springs Township meeting. It was nice to see those guys, and talked to EMS, had a review there. We have our open house on the 28th. That's coming together real nicely. We'll be putting an invite together with the Legion and the Scouts doing the flag ceremony and national anthem. It's going to be pretty neat. So really all I have. So we'll go to county administrator report. You good, Barb?
Just a couple of things. I do have a reminder for you that the Vietnam Traveling Memorial will be taking place at Foster High School beginning June 26th through that weekend of June 30th. I believe Bill will be speaking at that when they bring it in on the 30th, or I'm sorry, the 26th.
What's the other thing we're doing?
26th to the what?
The 30th of June.
Was this the thing you asked me about?
No, that's the thing, yeah, but there is, that's something on,
Okay.
19th,
I'll be
ribbon
there,
cutting.
you're speaking,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And then the 19th is what? What was the 19th?
That's the, for the welcome home over to Foster.
Oh, it's another,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
But
I think
That's
we're
next
right.
That's
week,
what
yeah.
you're speaking at
We're
for
good,
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
understand.
And then I just, Kathy Oliver shared with me that she was at a Greater Ohio Workforce Board on June 4th, and she was recognized by their operations manager, Lori Geary, for her 25 years of service on that board through Job and Family Services. She's getting a lot of accolades being,
Yeah.
retiring, so.
Good.
What board was that again for? I'm sorry.
It was for the Greater Ohio Workforce Board,
I actually saw, I saw that
Yes,
somewhere.
so,
That was good.
she sent me a couple pictures. I had Cheyenne post those on the commissioner's webpage. I did get a phone call from Kim Bond at Risk Strategies. They take care of our health insurance for the county. They're a consultant there, that we were notified. You also received an email from Lori Huth that Risk Strategies is being acquired by Brown and Brown. So that makes, I believe, if my memory is correct, that Brown & Brown is the 5th largest insurance consulting group in the world. So that'll take effect, she said probably fall before that's completely done. But if something comes through, that way you're aware, if it comes through as something different than the risk strategies that we're used to seeing. Also that we will be having a public hearing at the Commissioner's office at our June 26th meeting. This is for our proposed disadvantaged business enterprise. This is for the airport. This is out at the airport. It's just a public meeting that we have to hold, part of the grant process. Usually there's no comment. No, it's here. It's at our board meeting on the 26th. We just have to hold a public meeting or public hearing saying, yes, we're accepting any kind of questions or comments in regards to the airport.
It'll be at 10?
It'll be at 10.
Okay.
So.
Do we need to invite anybody to it?
No, we do not have to. I just want you guys to be aware that we will be, it's just, we're going to open the hearing for comments or questions regarding this program at the airport.
Okay.
So, I
No
believe.
need for a consultant to be here.
No, and because I did talk to
Say
them,
that.
and they said if we get any questions or comments, we can get them to them, and they will take care of getting answers to the questions and reviewing the
We're
comments.
probably gonna
So.
have a whole bunch of this.
There'll be a few
chart
things, I think.
eventually.
I think there'll be a few things
Yeah.
with this because of the master, it's all part of the master plan out there, so.
Okay.
Just want to remind everybody that next board meeting is Tuesday, the 17th at 2 p.m. because the 19th on Thursday is a federal holiday. The county offices are closed. Just a reminder. So, and it's a different time and date, so.
Juggling a lot of
Just
things
trying to
that
get,
week.
trying to get some things in, and I think that's all I have right now that I can remember.
Okay. Any old business from anybody? Any old business? All right, back to you, Barb.
Okay,
New business.
I need a drink of water before I start my
Yeah.
supplemental appropriations. I have a couple for general fund. Road salaries at $2,074.84. Road Medicare for $38.72. And road OPERS for $483.33. These are for the sheriff's office, and they are all due to overages from 3 grant closeouts that we have. So it's extra money in the grant fund, so they will be transferred to general fund, and then I just give it back to the sheriff's office. And then the other general fund I have is services for the jail. This is for the maintenance department, and this amount is $15,000. It's just contract services that the maintenance department does for the jail out there. And then I have a real estate assessment fund, contract services, license and services for $100,000. This is for the ISSG software. I believe that's the new software that the auditor's office is using for real estate. And then unclaimed money trust fund, the unclaimed money trust line of $5,690.33. I believe this is for someone that had payments out that has come back to claim the money that they never received. And then I have,
Was that, did somebody call? Was that?
there's a form generally that has to be
Did
filed.
somebody call about that? Is this the one they called on or emailed us on or something?
I don't
Remember
believe
this?
so. I don't know. I don't have too much information on that one,
Okay.
so. Then I have for the federal fiscal year '24 IDEP fund, the transfer out of $1,731.13. This is it overage of the grant for the grant closeout, and then that same fund, the advance out of $19,176.36. That's to repay the advance that the general fund gave to them when they started, because it's a reimbursable grant. And then I have a special projects fund for public guardian salaries of $40,000, public guardian Medicare for $580, workers' compensation for $500, and a public guardian PERS for $5,600. This is for the remainder of the year for the public guardian over there, for Judge Meyer's office. And then I have for the sheriff's office, impaired driving enforcement fund, transfer out of $497.59, overage for a grant closeout. And then I have for federal fiscal year 2024 STEP fund, transfer out of $441.60. This is an overage of a grant closeout. And then out of that same fund, the advance out for $20,676.35, a repayment of an advance to general fund. And then the opioid remediation grant fund, supplies in the amount of $4,956, and contract services in the amount of $111,147.08. This was a grant that they just received from the governor for yep, the sheriff's office.
So moved to accept supplemental appropriations.
I will second. Take a breath.
Take a deep
now.
breath.
There you go, Barb.
Okay, do we have any discussion on any of these?
Kind of
I
explain it.
think I'm good with the real estate fund is with the auditor. right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Bustecker?
Yes.
Commissioner Franker?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes. Good.
I'll move on to resolutions. Resolution authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into an agreement contract with Ward Construction. This is for the chip seal project for the engineer's office.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Commissioner Bustecker?
Yes.
Commissioner Franker?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
yes. Yes.
Resolution authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into an agreement or contract with the Mental Health and Recovery Services Board of Seneca, Ottawa, Sandusky, and Wyandotte counties for mental health and addiction support services on behalf of the Seneca County Sheriff's Office.
Make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Bustecker?
Yes.
Commissioner Franker?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
And then I have one, I will let you know that we are removing one that was for an agreement to enter into with the city of Sandusky for non-emergency transportation for between themselves and Job and Family Services. Job and Family Services has requested that be removed from the agenda.
And that's one we tabled.
Yes, that's one we tabled from the previous meeting.
That was good.
Then I have a resolution for the appointment of special counsel for the Seneca County General Health District retroactive to June 3rd of 2025. This is for an additional lawsuit that was filed on May 23rd in U.S. District Court against the General Health District and others.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Commissioner Bustecker?
Yes.
Commissioner Franker?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
yes. Should I just,
Sure.
we're past discussion, but this money comes out of the Board of Health's budget.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're clear. We're not transferring money to the Board of Health.
No.
But they have to, we're
Be-
approving outside counsel, not our prosecutor.
Correct, because and we have to approve it because it exceeds a percentage of the prosecutor's salary.
So this is one of those cases, so our Board of Health's being sued. They're spending taxpayer money defending the suit. And now they've asked us if they could take more of their money, and we just approved
Yeah.
them doing that. Amazing. Okay. We
res-
already voted, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
perfect. Resolution authorizing a
that in.
fund advance repayment from the federal fiscal year 24 IDEPT Sheriff's Fund to the general fund. This is in the amount of $19,176.36.
So moved.
Second, only discussion. Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Bustecker?
Yes.
Commissioner Franker?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Authorizing a fund advance repayment from the federal fiscal year 24 STEP fund to the general fund in the amount of $20,676.35.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion?
So what do we have here?
Those two that I just did were advance repayments that we, the general fund provided seed money, more or less, and now that the grant is complete, they pay back that money, and then I have a couple of transfers for going forward, with a little bit of money that was left over that will go back to general fund.
Top right corner?
Yeah.
Yes? That's
Yes,
good.
yes.
That's good, okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Bosbacher?
Yes.
Commissioner Frankert?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing fund transfer be made to the general fund. This is coming from the federal fiscal year 24 IDEP fund in the amount of $1,731.13.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Bustaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Frankert?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes. Good.
Resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made to the general fund from the Sheriff's Office Impaired Driving Enforcement Fund, or IDEP, for $497.59.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay.
Commissioner Bustaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Frankert?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
I have a resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made to the general fund from the federal fiscal year 24 STEP fund for $441.60.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Bustaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Frankert?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
And the last resolution I have is a resolution appointing Lauren Bransky as the Director of the Seneca County Department of Job and Family Services and setting compensation. Her first day will be July 14th, 2025.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion there, Mr.
Excited.
Bustaker? Yeah,
Yeah.
so
We like Lauren, and we got a lot of hopes for her.
Lauren will be replacing Kathy
Kathy
Oliver.
Yes.
Oliver. Mhm.
Barb's worked really hard on the process, and I've helped her a little bit.
I think we would concur. Nice job on
Yeah. Thank you, Barb.
timing and just keeping it fluid and search. Good job, you jumped right in. So she starts the 11th.
The 14th, she would
14th,
actually
14th.
start, yes.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else you want to add? Okay,
think so.
roll call.
Commissioner Bustaker?
Yes.
Commissioner Frankert?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
That's all I have.
All right, make a note here. Okay, any public comment? Anything? Anybody? Tom, what'd you think of the ODOT presentation? Any,
It takes 4 people to come and do that. Why does it take 4 people to come and explain
that's a
that?
good question. No
You know,
answer.
that's the same thing that happened last year, and the year before that.
No answer.
But I do have a comment about last week's meeting.
Yes,
That was probably one of the best because of about the cheating, possible cheating in the ballot.
yeah.
That,
You asked quite, it raises
That-
interest for sure.
that got to me. I don't know. I don't know, but
Yeah. It's good.
Very good.
Anything else? Shirley, you good? Next meeting will be Tuesday
Tuesday.
at
2
2.
p.m.
Yep, 2 p.m. Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you.